Afternoon to everyone. As Mona said, my name is Mfundo Tafeni. I'm from the city of Cape Town. I'm a head Invasives. My presentation will be very short. I've just tried to keep it short. That's my presentation outline. As you can see, that there's not quite a lot to say other than just bragging about the work that we've done in the past. Okay, we have 379 invasive species that we introduced into South Africa. Unfortunately, I've just had outdated numbers of listed species on my slide. Apologies about that. So there's 379 listed species in the NEMBA regulation. And how these species have entered the country, they've come in two different ways. One was intentional introduction, that would be through ornamental plants and through agricultural plants that are introduced. And also some of them have entered the country accidentally. That would be through our harbors when we're receiving goods outside of South Africa, and through dumping, either legal or illegal dumping. And also mowing, hopefully parks and recreation don't crucify me. Also mowing, whereby contractors do not clean their equipment after moving one area to another. So under the NEMBA regulation, it's required of the landowner to clear invasive species in their property to prevent spreading of invasive species. So that's the ultimate reason, or the main reason why we as a city of Cape Town as well have to clear invasive species on all city lands. So how do we go about controlling and managing invasive species within the city of Cape Town? As Chandra mentioned, that we are implementing the invasive plant control programs. One would be the early detection and rapid response program, which is our first line of defense. This program on its own, its main focus is on emerging alien plants that have not yet well established. And most of these species are species that are garden escapees. For an example, your devil's bed, also or previously known as the red valerian, and your pampas grass, and so on. And we manage these invasive species. We also manage the pathway of these invasive species by clearing road verges and other areas where there would be a possibility of these species to spread. So under the early detection and rapid response program, we have a list of 24 species that are target species, and also these species are on our invasive species spotter website, which Pumutso will touch on at the end of his presentation. These plants, all the early detection plants are removed from public open spaces, sometimes on private properties, gardens, whereby landowners are giving us permission to remove these species. And also we remove them from protected areas to prevent them from establishing in those areas. And then the other program that we are implementing focuses on all 379 invasive species that are in South Africa that are listed under NEMBA. The work is conducted on all city land. We don't do private land when it comes to this program, but we do provide advice to landowners if they need advice from us on how they can go about either compiling control plans or managing their invasives in their properties, and so on. This is the program that actually receives the bulk of our budget for implementation. As Chandra mentioned earlier, that we employ plus 4,000 people a year within this program. And then the program on its own as well also benefits SMMEs. Currently we have about 6 SMMEs that are benefiting from this program. We recently have started a high-angle rope access team, which deals with invasive species on high altitude or inaccessible areas, which specifically in our case would be Steenbras and Vemasuk on the upper catchment areas. If some of you remember that in the past few years we experienced a severe drought in the Western Cape, and the city of Cape Town had to come up with measures of how they can replenish water into our dams so that they can be able to provide water to Cape Town citizens until we have rain. So one of the measures was to actually put more budget towards, clearing invasive species in upper catchment areas to replenish more water. So with bulk water now being the custodian of all, dams, they have come on board and signed an agreement with the biodiversity branch to provide funding for the next 3 years. So we're receiving we're going to receive 15 million for the next 3 years from bulk water to implement invasive species management on high altitude areas, on upper catchment areas to replenish water. So you might ask yourself, there's a missing picture here, so I just want to check. So you might be asking yourself, how do we apply our methods to control invasive species? I'm sure you've heard from the previous presentations that were here. We've mentioned the use of chemicals or herbicide to control invasives. So that's one of the methods that we are using, and also manual control methods, which are more labor intensive, where we have individuals either hand pulling or hand pulling invasives from that particular area. And we're also using mechanical methods, in most cases in partnership with one of our departments, the stormwater department, where they can hire machines to assist us in areas where it would be possible or where we urgently need to remove water hyacinth, especially on the rivers. We also make use of biocontrol to control invasive species where it won't be possible for us to deploy teams to remove invasive species. So for the next few slides, I will be bragging about some of the work that we've done in the past. As you can see here, this is alien. We have a team that is doing alien clearing on the Okap Sever, close to Sandparks, where they're clearing road veggies. So this is part of the pathway maintenance or pathway management that we conduct to ensure that invasive species do not spread to protected areas. So we have a team on the Okap Sever that is removing boat in, and then on the background there you have Sandparks, the silver mine area. And then below here, this is part of the early detection species. We have a team that is removing yellow flag at Weinberg Park. Our focus as well is also on protected areas, especially city-managed protected areas. We have a team here that removed invasive species at Steenbras Nature Reserve, where next to the dam, as you can see, that's the after photo after they've removed the invasives. And then this is one of the projects that we are also managing in the north, that's Table Bay Nature Reserve, whereby we had a team that came and removed Podjackson, and then you can see staking after removal. And then you can properly see the houses behind the nature reserve. As I said, we work also in public open spaces, city-owned land. This is a housing site in Ocean View, whereby there was a complaint of a open space that might cause a fire hazard to property, and my colleague Richard Benz deployed his team to do mowing in this property. As you can see, before mowing there was a grass that was quite high, and that might also lead to fires, spreading of fires if there are fires. So they did mowing and then left the place clean. They don't only do alien clearing, they also remove litter and rubble in those properties just to make sure that the work is decent, and they don't wait for solid waste to remove those piles of rubble. They remove them, otherwise those piles, you will still see them next year if they don't take action. And then there's another public open space. I'm not sure whether this is in Fishhook, whereby a neighbor or a property owner complained of invasive plants that are growing on a public open space. My team removed them, and then this is the picture after the clearing was done. And then in these cases, some of these areas are used by criminals to conduct their criminal activities. So by removing these, bushes or invasives is to also prevent, or reduce criminal activities in certain areas. We also work a lot on our catchment systems. As you can see on the top picture there, that's the deep river catchment, which used to be clogged up by water hyacinth. And of course, that catchment is also used by communities around for canoeing and other activities. So we're using an EPWP team to remove water hyacinth and comolina, which clogged up the river, and then that's the after picture after that, and then the river is usable. And then also this prevents, flooding during winter when we have heavy rains. And then this is Kales River in the east. This is a project that was managed by Sisanda Nuse. And as you can see here, this river was clogged up by water hyacinth, and then Sisanda deployed a team to clear water hyacinth. And it might seem easy. This is not an easy job at all. This is one of the difficult, projects when it comes to clearing of water hyacinth on the rivers. So it needs quite a lot of budget to do it. It's always expensive, and lucky us that Chandra can secure 54 million. So at least we do have some sort of cash to do such projects. Okay, I think that's the end of it. Thank you very much.